I'm back, guys. I'm back. And I'm planning to make a Let's Play on. It's one of the two games. Either Pal World, well, actually, three different titles. Either this game, which I'm on right now, or Tales of Tenario, or Pal World. One of those three games I might be streaming. Uh, so, this is not just a normal stream. This is me letting people know about what could happen and what the future is for Nintendo. Uh, if you have not heard in an article that Nintendo has stated that they will no longer be working on any more Nintendo Switch because the Nintendo Switch 2 is the final product, their last console platform for their end. So, and I got a few different, how you say it, thoughts and opinions on why they're not gonna release another Nintendo device, and if they did, it would just harm them more. Um, so basically, what I looked up on my phone, AI generated, of course, but they usually put the truth in AI generated. Um, but there are some uh, social websites where there are hardcore Nintendo fans. Okay, um, one of them opinions that I'm gonna say that I have is that there is a high chance that later down the road, the Switch 2 and the original Switch, which I have, and that's why I didn't buy a Switch 2 and I have no plans to, is because there's a high chance they will shut down the two platforms. The Switch 2, but they already said they're showing that they had plans to shut down the original Switch. But that's understandable. The thing that it's not understandable is they mention that they're not going to work on any more Nintendo system or consoles. Um, and I learned a few things, okay, guys? So the thing I learned is that they will not have enough resources for a better Nintendo device. And we all already know that. So there is a high chance that whenever they shut down the Switch, the original Switch Lite and the original Switch that connects to the TV as well, um, that there's a high chance that the Nintendo consoles could shut down entirely. But do we know when? No. Is there a chance it could happen next year? Is there a chance it could happen the year after that? And this is the problem because a lot of these game studio developers, like Square Enix and Yoshi P himself, which I respect a lot, he makes some really good titles. The Square Enix made a lot of good titles, and I love them. Dragon Quest being one of my favorite ones. Have I completed it? Have I played it through and through to the end? Not really, because I feel like the game gets a little too hard, okay? Final Fantasy 14, on the other hand, is progressible. It's not hard. But some of the new content is hard. And I've seen a lot of criticism saying that they want to be able to solo a lot of these new dungeons. And there's not just that as an issue. There's a few other issues. But I guarantee you they'll fix them soon enough. Um, so Yoshi P, he reacted and said, "Oh wow, I look forward to bringing the Final Fantasy 14 online to the Switch too." But the problem is, here's the problem. I think there's not enough resources for Nintendo to grab other titles from like Square Enix, because if you haven't heard, there are some developer studios for different game titles that are not upgrading their game to the Switch 2 version. And this might be the reason, is that they might not have enough resources. Nintendo will not have enough resources to invest into those upgrades, okay? Like, and so what I found out is there is a high chance, like I said, that Nintendo Switch 2 could go down, and Nintendo could go down hard, which it'll be to a point where it's like Sega. Sega is now releasing just software, okay? So if the Nintendo Switch 2 shuts down after the Nintendo Switch Lite and the original Nintendo Switch shuts down, which they already said they have plans to do, but they said they weren't going to shut it down right away. They're going to give people time until they have enough money to afford other games for the Switch 2. But the problem is, all their games are leading them to a huge issue, okay? I don't think they upgraded Monster Hunter Stories 2 to Switch 2. And that means that's a huge problem. Okay, guys, that is a huge problem, because now Nintendo, I mean, I can understand the price for the Nintendo Switch 2 is understandable, but the games on top of that, all them games for the Switch 2, they're all almost the same price. $79.99, $79.99, $79.99. And they have removed their, how you call it, their rewards program, meaning now you can't use any gold points. And I know there's probably a lot of people that abuse that. What they would do was they would just invest in multiple game titles, and then they would use all their points. Because this was a thing, because I tried it in one of the low price games, and I used the gold points that was like around $4, and this game was like $3, and that was it, right? So it's $2.99, so it's around $3. No, actually it was $3 and I believe 99 cents, and I had the amount needed for that game, right? So I used, well, no, it could be anyway. So if it's $2.99, right? And if you wanted to turn the price to $0, and that was the issue right there. But Sony, I don't understand why they shut down their rewards program on the app, because I feel like their rewards program was a little more better than the Switch, because they're still able to make that profit still. But Nintendo, on the other hand, if you use, like, if it's $2.99 the game, it costs $2.99. You can use $2.99 worth of the gold points, and the price of the game will go all the way down to $0.00. And I've seen, and I believe a lot of people abused that to where Nintendo wasn't making any money, not a profit. Why? They made profit in the beginning from the affiliate reward program. But then things started going downhill because there were people that had unlimited gold points because they bought so many games digitally and then they abused the gold points. Okay, guys? And this is what made it where Nintendo lost some of that profit. So yeah, they invested a bunch of parts and a bunch of projects to make the Switch 2 happen. Okay? They invested on making a bunch of Switch 2s. Yes. But, due to the president making a tariff against Japan affecting, and that made a problem for the Switch 2 coming to the US. They had to delay it a few times. And they brought it here, yes. But the problem with that is they still lost a lot of players because in the regular Switch, right, guys, you have people who mod game data, okay? And the problem is they could have taken care of this a long time ago. They could have taken down the modders on the Switch. People that modded the firmware, they could have taken them down and try to improve somewhat of the security. Not overdo it. Is this Danny Anime? If it is it okay if I get you into a Discord through my party chat? I got some news for you, buddy. If you are there. Let's see. Will he join? Will he join? Will he join? Will he join? Is he on? What am I streaming on? Twitch or YouTube? I should be streaming on YouTube, right? So I learned a thing or two about what may happen to the two Switch consoles, okay? Because they're planning to shut down the Switch Lite and the other original Switch platform. That's understandable. But the problem is, they said in an announcement, they stated that they will no longer be working on any more Switch devices, any more Switch consoles. Meaning, that led me to a conclusion. They are losing a lot of resources and investment in the system itself and the live service of the system. But here's a positive view, okay, guys? So they're not gonna completely die out. It would be like what happened with Sega, where when Sega shut down, of course, yes, Dad. What? Can you wait? Can I stream? No, not tomorrow. I'm streaming now. Oh, don't worry. I'll take care of it. Don't worry. No, I can take it down. Don't worry. I'll take all of it down in one go. Don't worry. Don't worry. Oh, do you think? You think I can take care of the job? Okay, sorry about that, guys. So if the Switch 1, the Switch Lite, or the Switch original Switch, and the Switch 2 shuts down, they'll have to work on focusing on software, like what Sega did. Like, but the reason why Sega lost a lot of money, and this is a thing I looked up about their end, is that they rushed online service through the Dreamcast, and they were still starting off. And the internet service wasn't as popular before as it was now, okay? But there are some double-edged swords to bringing a console with online service. And I'll just let you guys know, Sony announced that they are working on the PlayStation 6. But the best decision, okay guys, is wait until the political issue is solved. Wait until our president gets taken out, because the tariffs he is putting is screwing a lot of things up. And there's still hope for a PlayStation 6, because Sony is still working on the multiple new PlayStation 6. Basically, they have a factory like any other company, right? That makes parts and brings to make the system. So, whenever that factory prepares the parts, all they do is construct and put all those pieces together. They put what is needed to function the system. And yeah, they're gonna use a powerful chip. Actually, no, they're not gonna use a powerful chip. Like the like they're not gonna overdo the power over the PS5 power. Because yeah, it may have some improvements with like graphics, but basically it will probably be the same as powerful as the PS5 is. They can't increase the power of the system any further, okay? Because Sony also stated that they have already found out how capable they are with the PlayStation 5, and they learned how much capable they are with the PlayStation 6. So they can only increase the power of the system a little percentage more to like improve the graphics, and they will have to do updates to stabilize the system itself, like what happened with the PS5. Trust me, I know the PS5, when it first launched, it had a lot of issues, okay? And it was hard to get. It was a pain in the ass to get, okay? But like, Nintendo is a different story. They don't worry about upgrading their system and trying to make it more powerful. Instead, if they had, the Switch 2 is powerful, but the battery's lifespan is really shorter than the Switch Lite and the original Switch that connects to the TV. The Switch 2 can also connect to the TV. So, because the Switch 2 is as powerful as the PS4, how are you supposed to play it while you're off of the dock for the Switch 2? Because they already made a dock for the Switch 2. So if you take out the Switch 2 from the dock, it won't even last as long. And that's why I never got the Switch 2. Let me see if Danny Anime can join me on Discord. I don't know if he can or if he will. I mean, he is a young 12, 13-year-old. And I know his parents are not comfortable with a person that's older than him. But like, I do respect him and his parents. So if he tells me that he's not allowed to talk to me anymore, I don't know. It all depends. Let me see. Hold on, let me end it and redo it. Here we go. And I'll be ending the stream, guys. So I just wanted to let you know my opinion and what's gonna happen, my thoughts for the future of Nintendo.